So we've got like nearly no space left. This is the capacitor for the compressor. As you can see, I've got a contactor. It's not going through any of the control gear. The big fat orange wire that goes to that terminal number 4, that one was that's the outgoing from the thermostat, and the only thing connected to it now is the contactor relay, basically. The reversing valve is controlled by outputs from the switches onto this side. So this is the original capacitor. There's nothing wrong with it. 1981 Nichicon Limited. This is a made in Japan, probably PCB filled. To give you an idea of how much technology sort of marched on, like that sort of gives you an idea. Like I can hardly get my hand around it. Like this isn't as wide as a beer can, but she's close. And if I line it up basically where that new one is, you can see how much bigger this capacitor is. So if you're going to use an aircon of this vintage, all of the capacitors have been changed with brand new capacitors. Don't rely on any of the old stuff, because 10 to 1 on that capacitor might last another 40 years, but it might also just completely fail, and these motors don't turn if there's no capacitor in circuit. So if you shorted out the capacitor, the motor will sit there locked up humming, drawing a lot of current. So they have thermal overload, you know, overcurrent breaker, thermal breaker, but it's basically, it clicks in under this cover, but it'll eventually burn the compressor out. Same with that motor there and the indoor blower motor. So the condenser fan is being driven by the contactor every time it pulls in. So that's the top of the contactor is obviously the supply that's going over to the this stuff. That is a spade terminal, but you know, so I just crimped it on and pushed it on for the neutral, but the active is bolted on. That's going straight to the contactor. The thermostat just switches this big contactor, and you know, it's oversized for the job, as you can see. If I can hold the camera still for 5 seconds. So this is using all 3 legs of that contactor. It is running an inductive load, being that compressor there, and the outdoor blower motor. But yeah, just an overview of the gear. She's still got the defrost timer, de-ice control for the coil when you run it as a heat pump. So that's what I suggest you all do if you're going to run an air conditioner of this age, or even a box aircon of this age. Yeah, replace all the capacitors and modernise the control gear with a contactor.